In order to save money in the long run, you have to have the money up front to buy more chicken, more cereal, whatever it is. And sometimes we don't have that. And then you also have to think about your bandwidth. I didn't have the bandwidth to compare coupons to sales. Today, I am starting in earnest to really take a look at food and groceries and trying hard to save some money. So I got a grocery order in, which I'm going to show you, and then we're going to make a recipe, potato soup. I want to get the potato soup on because I'm running kind of later than I thought. It says 7 hours in the crock pot, and I'm cozying up to 11 o'clock in the morning here. So we're going to go through the grocery order. I'm going to have prices for you. And I have one faux pas in my grocery order because what happened was I had a grocery order online and then my daughters wanted to go to the store and buy the food. So I let them, even though I didn't really have a meal plan in mind yet. I knew I wanted to do this whole money saving thing. So I let them go. And then I'm trying to delete, I'm deleting in my order, and I messed up. I'm going to show you where I messed up and what a price difference that mess up was. I'm trying to decide if I should go ahead and try to return the meat, even though there's nothing wrong with it, or I could keep it and use it in casseroles so that I spread it out more, so that it doesn't impact me as much financially. But there's going to be learning curves. So anyway, I'll show that all to you. I'll tell you prices, and I'm going to start, when I share a recipe, I'm going to try to share with you as close as I can to how much that recipe cost. I also need to rearrange the refrigerator and to put all these things away. I'm going to have to wrap meat and put that away. I also try not to stockpile meat, so I definitely try to use up whatever I have and not to keep buying, and because then I just, food gets old, or even worse than that, we have a storm and I don't have as much freezer as I normally would because if I go several days without power. Anyway, all that to say, let's go look at the grocery order and then make a yummy potato soup. Let's start with my mistake. These chicken thighs were on sale for $1.99 a pound. And chicken thighs have been pretty expensive, oftentimes more than chicken breast for me. And then this was as you can see, Taste of Inspirations, all natural fresh chicken. It's also chicken thigh. And this one was $4.49 a pound. And this smaller, I guess they're both a family pack. This one's 4 3/4. Maybe that's why. This is 3.475 pounds. This one is 2.5 pounds, but $4.49 versus $1.99. That is just a huge difference in price. This is my purposeful spend a lot of money purchase. It's so expensive, they don't even tell you. But my girls and I, we all tend to get stomach aches if we have a high content of fat in our ground beef. So I have to get the lean or we can't eat it, but I use it in chilies and in pasta and stuff, so a little goes a long way. If you think about it, you're putting beans and stuff in the chili too, but this was $7.99 for this package of meat. And I usually just get one a week, but that's just something that's going to stick around. Then I got this. I was thinking about making chicken stock just to kind of show that on the channel. So you want to have the skin, you want to have the bones. It was cheaper to get this at 99 cents a pound than to get a whole chicken. A whole chicken in its entirety was $1.59 a pound. If you notice, this actually says whole chicken. It's just cut up and put in a package, and it's only 99 cents a pound. Then these pork sirloin are also usually very inexpensive. We use them for pork tacos or pulled pork. So I thought I would divide this up. It was $1.49 a pound. There's 4 pounds, just over 4 pounds in this. So I'm going to cut it in half. So to think your night's meat is only $3, just over $3 is a good deal. Then this was the chicken breast I bought. Chicken breast has been running $2.99 a pound if I get these big breasts, so that's what I've been doing. Another kind of splurge is the peeled organic mango. That was like, yeah, it was $3.69 for this package. Mild cheddar was $2.22. And then anytime I buy my store's own brand, I do get a percentage back. And that comes to me as money off my groceries it comes out quarterly. The light sour cream was $1.79. The egg whites are $4.69, which seems like a lot, but when you think of how many meals I get out of it, I'm not wasting a whole egg when I use egg white. I feel like it's still worth it. These mandarin oranges were on sale for $2.99, so that was a good deal. These carrots were $1.59, but I had a $1 coupon, so this was only 59 cents. We eat a ton of these large cucumbers. They're the seedless or European, whatever you call them where you are. These were $1.29 a piece. Sometimes I can get them for 99 cents, but not on this day. These 3 pounds of carrots were $2.99 for the whole bag, so that's $1 a pound. Green peppers were $1.49 a piece. So I got 3 of those. We go through a lot of these in a lot of the recipes because they're very good for the plan I'm on. These green onions were $1.49 for one bunch. I go through a lot of these as well. And then cabbage. I actually like cabbage sliced up as a snack. So I decided to get myself a green cabbage. I'll probably use it also one night, and we use it in stir fry a lot, but it's also inexpensive and low carb. It was 99 cents a pound, and so I paid $2.57 for this. Sweet potatoes were also 99 cents a pound, so this is $3.33. As you can see, I was trying to buy vegetables that were less expensive. I also got these turnips, or rutabagas, whatever you call them. They're also called turnip roots. They were $1.49 a pound, so that was $3.49 for these. Butternut squash was $1.49 a pound, so I got a big one of this, and I'm pretty sure I could get 2 meals out of this. I'll cube it once for a sheet pan meal, and then I'll boil it once and smash it up for maybe something where we have gravy or something. So it was $4.83. I got some salsa, which we use for the pork tacos. That is $3.79, and we would use this entire thing whenever we do the pork tacos. Also, the sweet corn was only 32 cents a can this time, and so I wanted to get some corn for a tamale pie, and I wanted cream corn, but I will just blend it up, honestly, because it was 32 cents a can, and then I had a coupon for 32 cents off, so one of these was free. So I got both of these for 32 cents, which means they were like 16 cents a piece. And then this enchilada sauce that would also be for the tamale pie. And again, I also get money back on this because it's a store brand, just saying. Enchilada sauce was $1.29, and that is also for the tamale pie. This pie crust is $1.50, and I had some Oreo pudding that's not getting eaten, so I got this. With the Oreo pudding, I know I have some whipped cream, and then I can crumble some of these on top, and the rest can be as a snack. The Oreos were $3.49. And then we have Leo's little snack here. These were $2.49, and I had a coupon for $2.49, so those were free. These hand soaps that I get are all 88 cents a piece. The Snuggle softener is $5.09. This huge box of freezer bags was $4.94, and there's 60 bags in there. This is an expense I could get rid of if I really needed to. $3.29 for the crock-pot liners. And then 2, 4, 6 rolls of paper towels for $6.99. So that seemed like a good deal too. In all total, this was $158.79. My plan is to get the meat and the dairy put away and then get that soup in the crock pot, and then I'll come back and put everything else away. It's not going to be a week where I'm cleaning the fridge either. It's just not possible. I am moving things around, rearranging things, which I honestly have no choice because that's the only way that meat is going in this refrigerator. I am checking to make sure there aren't any leftovers that we need to dispose of. And I do know that later on I'll be parsing out the meat, putting it in the freezer. So I'm not too worried about what the fridge looks like. The fact that it's not Pinterest worthy and not even YouTube worthy. I'm also making myself some soup, some chicken noodle soup. It's kind of nice for me to eat while I cook. That way I'm not nibbling on things that I shouldn't be nibbling on. Today I am making a potato soup. Potato soup is super economical, and you know, you could have some ham in there if you wanted. You could do ground beef in there. We're gonna sprinkle some bacon on the top. I'll probably do some pork bacon and some turkey bacon because I have at least one person in the family who doesn't prefer pork bacon. But very little meat in this meal. But it's super filling. That's the best part. So it calls for 2 tablespoons of butter. That's unsalted butter. And then 1 small onion. It says 3 large carrots, and mine were kind of short, so I'm going to do 5. And it said scrubbed and diced. I am going to peel mine first. It's just how I prefer them. Then 2 pounds of potatoes. So that was, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 good sized potatoes. You can see by my hand, you know, about how big those were. Just 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and this is one I'll let people sprinkle on if they want it. I'm not going to put it in the dish. And then 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. I don't have kosher salt in the house, so I'm going to use the sea salt. A can, it said 2% evaporated milk. I had this in the house, so I want to get it used up, so I'm going to go ahead and use the whole. But if I were to buy it again, I would definitely do the 2%, or even if there was skim. 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. Then it called for 1 cup of plain non-fat Greek yogurt, which I did not have in the house, but I have this, so I'm going to substitute sour cream in for mine. I'm going to dice up my small onion first. And then while that is sauteing on the stove, I can get my potato and my carrot ready, my carrots. I cut this finger the other day, so I'm going to put a glove over it so it doesn't get all wet in the Band-Aid.
There's a little ASMR choppy choppy noise for you. I love these choppy sounds.
All right, now I'm going to squirt this with some oil. I prefer avocado oil. Use whatever you have. And while this sautés, again, I said we'll get the potatoes and carrots ready.
I find it easiest just to take a paper towel out or something like that where I can just peel right onto the paper towel and then gather it up and throw it in the trash. That works better for me than to have a junk bowl. You know how some people, and actually, what was it? It was 30-minute meals used to do the having the bowl on the countertop, and she would put all of her peels in the Rachel Ray, that's her name, remember? She would put all of her stuff in that bowl. Years ago I tried composting, but I learned that it's just a way for me where I live to gather animals. And I had gotten a composter at the dump where they sell them, and I felt so official. I was so excited about having fresh soil because my soil is terrible for growing things because I live near a lake. So I have a lot of lake sand, but it just honestly wasn't worth it to me to gather all the critters and vermin of the entire neighborhood. And the red squirrels were able to chew through the composter. It just was not for me. So I do throw away all of my little scraps and clippings.
Don't want to forget about my onions here. Definitely something that I tend to do. Turn that down a little. Slow down, baby. Honestly, I don't think it would be a big deal to chop the onions and throw them right in the crock pot if you needed to just have a throw and go meal. You know, I do that with soup all the time. I don't saute my onions when I make a chicken soup. So I honestly don't think that would be a big deal. What I always do is I peel my potatoes and then I rinse them and then I chop them. I don't mind having some potato starch in the dish because I feel like it just gives it some thickening. If you have some budget-friendly meals that you enjoy, your family enjoys, if you leave those in the comment section, then it will give everybody ideas. And me too. And maybe I'll even do some of them here on the channel. If you have a recipe you'd like me to do, leave it also in the comments and just tell me you'd like me to do it. I feel like these are good, so I'm just going to go ahead and put them right in the crock pot. And then I can dice my potatoes and carrots and get those in as well. The recipe called for Yukon Gold potatoes, and I would say that those would be better if you wanted to not peel them. I had russet, so that's what I'm using.
With so many of these recipes, I really do try to use what I have in the house, and oftentimes I have ingredients that I want to use up. So I'll go to Google and I'll put the ingredients in the Google search, and I'll, write recipes and just see what comes up, or I'll browse around Pinterest and see what I can find. So that evaporated milk was going to expire in a couple of months, and that stuff takes a long time to expire. So I have had it for quite some time. We must have bought it for something, and I have no idea what. And I was remembering that my mother used to put evaporated milk in chowder. This was very chowder adjacent. So I was thinking I could use evaporated milk in my chowder with the cornstarch. It did thicken up a lot better than me using whole milk is what I used to use. So I might try that next time and see how that goes. But we're just getting these potatoes chopped up. They're going to spend so much time in the crock pot. I'm not too worried about getting them the same size, which is a good thing because I totally wasn't getting them the same size. I am not the best chopper on the planet. It makes you look a little bit better when you speed it up. I'm not just going to be honest. But that whole thing where you're supposed to keep the tip of the knife on the cutter and be rocking the knife. Yeah, I don't rock the knife. I can't do that. I've tried it. I'm just not. And then the potatoes are always getting stuck to the knife. And my husband was saying he's sharpened this knife so many times, he thinks it's time to get a new knife, that the knife is wearing down. And that is actually how I cut myself, was he had just sharpened it. To cut these carrots, I'm using the Pampered Chef garnisher, and I have had this for about 30 years, and it has no signs of slowing down. I love this thing. And this I can rock because it's intended to rock, and it makes it a lot faster. It's a lot easier on my wrist. It does also do the little curvy potatoes or carrots, which looks pretty. I was just thinking in my head I could have cut my potatoes with this, and I have done that before. I just didn't do that today, but I do always use it whenever I am cutting up carrots. Would you believe this is my first time cooking or eating a potato soup, which is kind of ridiculous because Maine is known for its potatoes, and I've never had potato soup. I always have a soup that has other things in it, like a chowder, so, or maybe it's a veggie soup, or maybe it's a chicken soup, and so I'm putting potatoes in it, but I've never had a potato soup, and I have to say, I will definitely want to have potato soup in my future, although I don't know what the calories are. I don't even want to know. And are carrots and potatoes on my plan? No, they are not. And so all of my clients are probably yelling at the screen right now, but I promise I didn't have a lot. And I had done good all day at least.
We're going to throw the 2 tablespoons of butter. I actually have 3, so I figure, what is the point of keeping just 1? So we'll throw that in there. I'm sure it'll just make it a heavier mixture. And then 3 cups of chicken broth. One. 2. And 3. And there's only 4 cups of broth in here. I might end up putting the other cup later. That might happen. We'll see. All right. Oh, I was supposed to saute the onion in the butter. That makes sense. So to that, we need a teaspoon of salt. And a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I love this Nature's Promise Italian seasoning. It has organic basil, organic oregano, organic marjoram, organic sage, organic dehydrated garlic. No rosemary, which gives me a headache. The cayenne pepper, which I'm not going to put in there. I'll let people do that themselves. And then everything else goes in a half an hour before I'm going to serve. So I'm going to stir this up, let these cook. Let's see, on low for 6 to 8 hours or on high for 3 to 4 hours. Well, I'm taking my daughter to an appointment, so I know that it's probably best if I put mine on low. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to let this cook and then deal with it when we get home.
I'm doing a quick cleanup, and I'm telling you, these quick little 5-minute cleanups are life. Life, I tell you. I believe the dishwasher was either full or running, and so I couldn't put these things in the dishwasher yet. But getting it put where it goes, getting the island wiped off, it definitely helps if I do these little 5-minute cleaning stints. Otherwise, I have, a couple of hours at the end of the day when I'm too tired to do it and it doesn't get done. I'm using the Mrs. Meyer's green grass scent. Oh my goodness, I love this scent so much. And Edie sent it to me, so thank you, Edie.
I'm going to get the rest of the groceries put away, and then I feel a little break coming on.
Here's where I get real messy, and it would have been really great if I could have done the meat first and then put the groceries away, but it just didn't feel good having the groceries all over the dining room table, so I thought, okay, we need to get these groceries cleaned up before I do the meat. And you know what was so weird, because I had delivery? That cabbage you see right there, usually it's in a little plastic bag, and other things were in a little plastic bag, but the cabbage was just thrown in the paper bag, which I found very, very strange and a little off-putting, but I'll take those leaves on the outside off anyway before we eat it. Oh my goodness. So putting the clementines here, I'll probably eventually put them in the refrigerator. And then I figured, these root vegetables and the sweet potatoes, there's no reason they can't be out. My girls like to eat sweet potatoes as a snack. They also like to cook them in the microwave and then cut them open, put a little bit of butter, put some small marshmallows on it, and put it under the broiler for the marshmallows to get browned. So if you're familiar with sweet potato casserole, that makes a little sweet potato casserole with one sweet potato, and they eat that as a snack, and they absolutely love it. Woozy is the manager for the day. Leo is taking some time off. I am willing myself through this part of the day because I am tired and I would like to take a break. But I really wanted to get the groceries put away first. Then I'll take my break and then I'll divide up the meat. Then I'll take my daughter to her appointment and then I'll come back and I will finish up supper. We'll eat supper and I'll take my shower and then I am done. Absolutely done. So here I am getting out my book. Leo was already in there ahead of me. This was where he was taking his day off. He's been loving my bed lately for some reason. Isn't it funny? Cats find different spots. It's their favorite spot for a while until they find another spot. All right, it's time to deal with the meat. Now, I'm a little bit unique when I do my meat. This is 99% lean turkey burger. I always buy the 99% lean, even though it is more expensive because it's healthier. And it's what my daughter Rachel likes, and she has a very sensitive stomach, so the fat bothers her if she has too much fat. So we usually will do a 1/4 pound is one serving, and not with my health plan, it would be more than that, but definitely it helps to get it divided up. So you'll notice that I always divide up my meat. And so with things like steak and chicken, I am wrapping each piece individually, and then I'll throw it in a freezer bag. And this has helped me so very much because it doesn't matter what recipe I am doing or if someone is just making some just for themselves. If it's individually wrapped, then we don't have to defrost an entire package. So I end up wasting meat less often. And having older kids, I don't always know ahead of time when somebody is going to be home. So I can be adjusting recipes or adjusting how much I make very easily with having these individually wrapped. I just pull out however many I need. Whereas it used to be, if I had to defrost a whole package of, say, steak, and then I find out only 2 or 3 people are going to be home, now are we going to have steak the next day? And then there wouldn't be enough steak for everybody that's there the next time. It just turns into this vicious cycle where I have found it's so much easier in the long run to have these individually wrapped and not frozen solid together. Chicken breasts always come super large, and you'll see the package after this is even bigger. So one breast is definitely for more than one person. So it would make sense to cut these in half before I wrap them. But bandwidth, I did not have the bandwidth for that today. So I thought, okay, something's better than nothing. We're still going to wrap these puppies up and, you know, use them for whenever we have more than one person. Or if it's for like chicken fajitas or that sort of thing. You know, obviously casseroles and soups can save you money if you put less meat. But honestly, these days, I feel like vegetables are pretty expensive, depending on how you buy them. So depending on how you buy vegetables, that can spend as much money as meat.
Man, what kind of a monster chicken? What are they feeding those chickens? Seriously. It's like a whole village of chicken.
Let me tell you a little behind the scenes truth. So I started wrapping up this particular package of chicken, which is actually the one that came this morning. And first I get a piece of saran wrap that's not big enough. Then I get one that's big enough. So I get that wrapped, all fine and good. Now before I was taking like the plastic off the packaging, throwing that away. And so I went to do that, and chicken, what do you call that? Fluid? Got all over the counter. So I shut the camera off. I thought nobody needs to see that. Wiped it all up, disinfected everything. And then I'm thinking, oh goodness, now I'm touching the Gladlock box, and I've been cleaning up chicken. And so I'm having this whole crisis in my head. So I tried to disinfect myself and everything around it as best I could. And then I continued. So it was right there between that first piece and this piece. So I thought, I'll tell you about it. I'll be honest, but nobody needs to see that. I didn't know a way to film it that wouldn't gross anybody out, because I understand that chicken can be kind of triggering. And then this is the chicken thighs. So I'm getting these individually wrapped. I love chicken thighs so very much. I love it because it's darker meat. It's so much more juicy than chicken breast. When you use it in recipes, I just feel like it elevates the recipe so much more than a chicken breast. So I do love me some chicken thighs. I love to use them for chicken pie, or chicken soup if you've made your own stock, or if you have leftover gravy. They're great to use. Like, let's say you did a roaster chicken and you had leftover gravy, but you didn't have leftover roast chicken. Definitely you could do chicken pie using thighs or Asian spices. Oh, it's so many things are so good with chicken thighs. I think when it comes to fajitas and stuff, I do like me a chicken breast, but just about everything else, I really, really love chicken thighs. I have one daughter who cannot handle the texture, so we always have to make sure whatever we do with a chicken thigh, we do a breast for her, which is fine. And then this had a bone in it. That's one of the problems with not going to the store. I didn't really inspect whether it said boneless on there. So I started to cut it, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm tired and I don't know how to cut this thing. So I'm just going to wait. I'm going to cook the whole thing. Then I'm going to debone it. And then I'll save some aside to do pulled pork with the seasoning, maybe in the slow cooker on low or warm. And I will do pork tacos with it as well, but I just won't be starting with it raw. So I'll cook it up, and it'll be much easier to get off the bone when it's cooked than when it's raw.
All right. A couple things I wanted to mention. One of the things I love about online grocery shopping is the search bar. So when I put zucchini in the search bar, okay, if I buy a zucchini myself, pick it up, it's $2.99 a pound. If I have them zoodle it, like I buy it already zoodled. It's $6.86 a pound. So it would not take long at all to pay for a zoodler. Okay, yellow onions. If I buy a yellow onion diced in the produce department where it's in a little box, not frozen, $5.58 a pound. If it's frozen in the frozen food, diced, $2.12 a pound. If it's 3 pounds bagged, $1.99 a pound. If it's 5 pounds bagged, actually, wasn't that the opposite? No, wait a minute, that's not right. 2 pounds, $1.99. 5 pounds, $1.20. Okay. If it's 2 pounds bagged, $1.99 a pound. If it's loose and I'm buying one at a time, $1.29 a pound. Loose is cheaper than 2 pounds bagged. If it's in a 5 pound bag, it's $1.20 a pound. So looking at that, where you have the same onion, it really shows you what would be the most economical way to get a yellow onion. And so I saw over and over again that if I let the store chop it and I bought it in produce, it was a lot more expensive, which makes sense. When I looked at butternut squash, I got the big butternut squash. If I buy a big butternut squash, it's $1.49 a pound. If I buy it frozen and cut up, it's $1.95 a pound. If I buy it diced by the store, it's $3.29 a pound. So I love that I can just go on here and see what's the most economical way. And it's the same with meat. So I made a mistake with the chicken thighs. And then, of course, coupons can change that. Now, I do my coupons digitally. So about once a week, I'll go on here, or whenever I'm thinking, if I'm waiting for something, I'll go on and start clipping coupons digitally. Like, I did not know I was going to get carrots for free. It just happened. I bought the ones that were on sale, but I didn't realize that this would come down to free. So the thighs that have bones and skin are $1.69 a pound. The one that I bought by mistake was $4.49 a pound. The smaller package of the same thing would have been $4.59 a pound or $5.09 a pound. But then there was so if the skin and the bone is on, the store brand is $1.69, but the Nature's Promise was $1.29. And the Nature's, I wish I would have seen this. The Nature's Promise with skin and bone, that's a family pack, was only 99 cents a pound. And then boneless, skinless of the Taste of which the Hannaford Inspirations, which is my store brand, but it's called Inspirations, was $4.49 a pound. That's really expensive because the Nature's Promise was $4.59 for boneless, skinless. And then I got mine on sale, but that sale must be over now. That's weird. Was like what, $1.99 a pound, did I say? So this really has been enabling me to go in and check things and see which is the cheapest way to get the exact same thing. Oh my goodness. Sometimes what will happen because of sales is the Nature's Promise Organic will be cheaper than the store brand. Sometimes you can buy in bulk and the per pound, per ounce, per piece is cheaper, right? But if you're buying it for only one meal, then it might be better to pay a little bit more, but pay less overall. So there's the kind of saving where you have money. This is kind of where She's in Her Apron is at, although I kind of think she's always shopping sales, so maybe it's not this way for her anymore. But sometimes you're going to spend initially more, right, to get the lower price per pound, per ounce, per unit. But so you're going to pay more initially, but save money in the long run. Okay. So in order to save money in the long run, you have to have the money up front to buy more chicken, more cereal, whatever it is. And sometimes we don't have that. We have zero, we have very little money. So recently, I think it was the Super Bowl. In fact, I know it was when I was buying Super Bowl foods. I physically went into the store. And that really helped me because sometimes not everything comes up on the computer the way I want it to. So to go down the cracker aisle and really look, not what's the cheapest cracker so I can get as many crackers as possible, because there was a limit to how many crackers we were going to eat that night, and we didn't necessarily want crackers in the house. So then I was trying to buy the cheapest box of crackers. So it might have been a smaller box, and I might have got more crackers in the bigger box, and it might have been cheaper in the long run, but for that day it was cheaper. And so I kind of have to think of both things, where I do have daughters who don't eat a lot. We just don't eat a lot. And my husband and I, who are trying to low carb it and eat healthy. So sometimes it's more of a savings for me to pay more per unit and just get exactly what I need than to buy in bulk. And there's some things that if I were to buy in bulk, it would get wasted. Peanut butter would be a good example, because over time it kind of dries out and it's not the best. So you just have to look at all of those things for you and your family. Store brand does tend to be cheaper, but not all the time, and sales can really affect that. And then you also have to think about your bandwidth. I didn't have the bandwidth to compare coupons to sales. So I clip all the coupons of anything I think we might buy, and I do check sales, but I'm not necessarily micromanaging whether, I'm going to get free carrots or carrots for 30 cents, or, I saw the corn was 32 cents. Well, oh my goodness, without a coupon, that would have been amazing. And then I actually had clipped a coupon without realizing it. So, and also I do get money back when I buy a store brand or when I buy vegetables and fruit. So I don't calculate that. So if something's on sale and I think it's cheaper than the store brand, it might not be, because I get a percentage back on the store brand. But you just got to do the best that you can do. So I hope this is helpful.
I'm back from our appointment, and I like a lot more broth. So I'm going to add the last cup that's in here of chicken broth for sure.
Now we're going to take the evaporated milk and we're going to whisk it together with the cornstarch, and when it's not lumpy anymore, I'll pour it into the soup. So it was 12 ounces of the evaporated milk and then 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. So this is a gluten-free recipe, actually. Okay, I didn't do the best job whisking. That's clear.
Here's how it looks now with the evaporated milk and the cornstarch.
As you might remember, it called for 1 cup of non-fat Greek yogurt, plain. I didn't have that, but I did have some light sour cream, so that's what I'm using instead. Stir that in. And then 1 cup of the sharp shredded cheddar. All right, we're just going to stir that cheddar in. And then we have all the ingredients we need, except for I didn't want to put in the cayenne, and then bacon. And I'm sure as that sits for the next 30 minutes, it's going to thicken up. I'm going to add some pepper because I'm not doing the cayenne pepper. I feel like it is a little bit bland.
I made way too much bacon here, and we love bacon, but this soup is so filling. Definitely 2 pieces of bacon per person would have been plenty, and maybe still more than enough. So I saved what was extra. I put it in the refrigerator, and I'll do something with it, salad or something. I had energy, So I was thinking, ooh, wouldn't a cheddar biscuit be so good? And this is a Better Homes and Garden biscuit. And it's really called cheesy biscuit. It's basically like a drop biscuit, or it's a baking powder biscuit. It has cream of tartar. I'll put the ingredients in the description box below. So basically you're just putting all of the dry ingredients in, and then you're gonna put in the butter. I use butter, you can use Crisco. And then you cut in the butter, add the milk, mix it together, add the cheese, mix it together, pat it down, cut it up, throw it on a pan, throw it in the oven, 450 degrees, 10 to 12 minutes. Super easy. So the thing was, though, I wasn't going to price this whole thing out because I feel like I'd already done a lot of math. So I looked it up online. It said 24 cents a biscuit. And then I thought, well, I added cheddar cheese, so we'll up it to 30 cents. So it was still 30 cents a biscuit, which is a really great deal. That means it was $2 to make the entire batch of biscuits. And I already had spent, what did I say? $12.24 on the soup. So for under $15, I fed my family what I would consider to be restaurant quality, if not better than restaurant. I mean, talk about homemade ingredients. This was such a good supper. It was such a huge hit. Oh, and by the way, make sure you get partway through mixing that butter in, and then just tell your husband, hey, I'm getting tired. Would you help me there? And also, I didn't have enough milk, so I had to substitute oat milk. It still came out great. I got to say, though, my baking powder was brand new. So that could have had something to do with my innate success. It was so good.
I hope this is helpful and encouraging to you. I know the pinch for groceries is big for all of us, and we're in this together. I'm going to try to save some money. I'm going to take you along on my journey as well, and hopefully it will help you to save money too. So remember, as always, that God loves you, and I love you too, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.